Our lesson for today's video is all about project activity planning. Project planning entails describing apparent, distinct activities and the work required in order to finish each activity in particular project. It frequently calls for making several assumptions about the accessibility of resources like hardware, software, and personnel. It is a lot simpler to plan near-term activities than those happening in the future. In reality, the construction of longer-term plan is more general in scope, and nearer-term plans are more comprehensive. The recurring nature of the project management process necessitates that plans be continuously supervised during the project implementation and from time to time updated after each phase in accordance to the most recent information. Project plans are normally created by jotting down the order of activities needed to implement the project from start to completion. The project is divided into 9 segments based on the planning process, lean around the life cycle events frequently for software and hardware product developers. The first is concept evaluation. A project concept evaluation is a type of evaluation in which the product or project concept developed so far is reviewed. It also the process of evaluating consumers' impressions of a prospective product or services. The second one is requirements identification. It is determining the resources needed for the completion of the project like labor, equipment, and materials. There must also be a schedule indicating when each resource will be employed and note any assumption and constraints made during the resource planning process. Of course, if it aren't clear or analysis is not done properly, it might lead to failure of the project no matter how good the concept and design is. The third is design. It is creating the blueprint of the project with technical details that will enable the development team to proceed with the build and or configuration of the solution. It should be approved to ensure compliance with the standard. The fourth one is implementation. This is the manner of completing the project. The fifth is the test. This segment will detail all levels of testing to be performed during the build or configure or test phase of the project. Iteration of testing cycle as well as environments to be utilized for the testing should be indicated. The sixth is integration. It is the coordination of the various elements of the project in order to meet their mutual goals of scope, schedule, and budget to meet the entire project goals. Seventh, validation. It confirms that the work being considered matches the details in the WBS, project scope and project management plan. The eighth is customer test and evaluation. It is critical aspect of project management involving complex system that must satisfy specification requirements of the customers. Acceptance testing is basically done by the user or customers. Finally, and the number 9 is preparation and maintenance. It is the guide in the preparation for the implementation of the project and the sustenance of all resources. And let us proceed the project charter. At the start of a project, the needs to be accomplished must be defined and make a decision how the project is going to continue. Each project begins with an idea, vision, or a business opportunity. This is the starting point that must be associated with the organization business objectives. The project charter is that initial point. The project charter is a single, consolidated source of information about the project in terms of initiation and planning. Essentially, the project charter defines the boundaries of the project. The charter lays down foundation of the project. It includes a statement of the business needs. The project charter describes the motivation behind the project and presents the business case for selecting the project. It defines the organization's purpose in doing the project, outlines the scope of the project, and explains how the project desired outcomes is strengthen the organization goals. It also identifies the deliverables, Name the risks involved, describe the resources, both human and materials and technologies, and reflect on task dependencies. The charter forms a contract with all stakeholders involved in the project. Once the top management approves the project charter, the project manager prepares the project plan that shows how to achieve the approved project goals. Every project charter should consist of at least three primary components, which are Project Overview section, Project Approach section, and Project Approval section. Project Overview section is a detailed description of a project's goals and objectives, the steps to achieve these goals, and the expected outcomes. Identification or project formal name. Give the formal name of the project as well as any other terms that might be used to identify the project and the primary groups that will be involved with it. With this consistent terminology, it will be easier for all parties involved like the project team, stakeholders, and end users to discuss and work on the project. Project background and history. Give any background information that will help explain how the project came to be. Project purpose and or business need. Explain why the project is needed. If applicable, include details of why existing tools or products are insufficient. If there are supporting documents available for any of those. Project scope and limitations. Define the project scope, being watchful to note boundaries and limitations. The project scope should be unmistakable, detailed so that all parties involved are very aware of exactly what the project includes as well as what it doesn't. Project goals and objectives. Using appropriate business terminology, state or objective of the project. Be sure to include the project intended purpose in language that is both concise and self-explanatory. Project sponsorship and major stakeholders. Provide a list of names identifying the major parties. Pertinent documents and references. List any related documents or other resources that could be helpful in understanding various aspects of the project, such as the scope and business need. If these documents are particularly crucial, they can also be included as appendices to the charter. Overview of project terminology. Provide a basic but complete glossary that defines special terms related to the project. If there are any key terms, phrases, or acronyms that might prove to be confusing or new to anyone related to the project, be sure to include them in this section. The first is project deliverables. List the major deliverables of the project and include when these goals should be achieved. Most importantly, remember to include the key milestones of the project. Responsibilities and rules. Include a summary of all parties that will be involved in the project and what the rules will be. Also, list the needed skills and expertise that each individual brings to the project as well as each person's responsibilities. Project resources. In addition to the human component, include other resources that will be needed for satisfactory completion of the project. Provide a list of computer equipment, raw materials, working space, and any other resources that might be taxed during the project life cycle. If certain resources will only be needed during specific phases of the project, make note of that as well. Risk Management Overview. Give a summary of the risks that may be encountered during the project as well as how these risks may be minimized. Risk mitigation and action steps can be listed. Project Process Summary. Explain which of the organization project management methodologies will be employed for this project. If there is a plan to deviate from standard means and methodologies, explain that as well. Project Life Cycle Overview. Give a basic breakdown of the project life cycle and list the various stages that the project will go through. Make sure to include the objective of each stage and why the stage is necessary. Basic project control and communication plan. The project control component explains the tools that will be used to assist the project manager in tracking the project progress. It also serves as a communication device for communicating the project progress to the project team, project sponsor, and project stakeholders. Project schedule. Provide a fundamental schedule overview that lists, among other things, the key milestones and stages of the project. Various exhibits such as Gantt chart should be included in this section. Here, it can be quite advantageous to use a project management software tool to produce a schedule that can be monitored and adjusted as the project progresses. Depending on the size of the project, such tools can be critical to its success. And here we are to project approval section. First, this section should list all of the names and roles of the major stakeholders along with their signatures indicating that each of these individuals is satisfied with the details included in the project charter. Second, in addition, if the project will require resources from the other departments or groups, a representative from each of these divisions should be listed in the approval section as well. The signature of this individual will signify that they accept their own responsibilities for successful completion of the project and agree to provide needed support.
Good day, ma'am and everyone. My name is Ramel El Hangad, BSB HRM3B. My report is all about writing the project's scope. Objective parallel to the mission, goals, and strategy of the organization is a guarantee to a successful initial of the project. The objective of the project may be to generate a new product, make a new service to offer within the organization, or develop the latest bit of software. There could be any number of objectives for as long as they must be essential to a given project. So when we talk about writing the project scope, it is aimed parallel to an organization's mission, goals, and strategy, so that guarantee for a successful project launch. A project goal can be to create the newest piece of software, a new service to give within the firm, or a new product, and there may be any number of goals as long as they are necessary for the job at hand. Project scope is the description of what the project is estimated to attain and state the budget of both time and cost that wants to be stipulated to generate the project deliverables before the project is terminated. It is the part of the project planning that involves determining and documenting a list of specific project goals, deliverables, tasks, and deadlines. So that when we say project scope, this states the description of the goals that the project is intended to achieve. It also specifies the time and financial constraints that must be met in order to produce the project deliverables by the time it is finished. So, a list of particular project objectives, deliverables, tasks, and deadlines must be decided upon and recorded during this phase of project planning. Number 1 is justification. A brief statement regarding the business need the project addresses. It's important to have the project justification identified because this helps to give overall direction to the project as well as emphasizing the final goals. So when we talk about justification, it is a succinct description of the business requirements that the initiative fulfills. It's critical to identify the project's justification since doing so emphasizes the project's end aim and gives the project overall direction. And number 2 is product scope description. The product characteristic of the products, services, and or results the project will produce. So we talk about product scope description is all about the features of the goods, services, and or outcomes that the project will deliver. And number 3, acceptance criteria, the conditions that must be met before project deliverables are accepted. So when we talk about the acceptance criteria, it is the prerequisites that must be satisfied in order for project deliverables to be accepted. So let's proceed to number 4. Deliverables, the products, services, and results your project will produce, also referred to as objectives. Deliverables may include any training necessary for personnel at the culmination of project, or deliverables may be a final product to be provided to the stakeholders. So when we talk about deliverables, it is all about the goods, services, or outcomes of your endeavor. Deliverables may include any training required for staff at the project's conclusion. Alternatively, deliverables could be a finished product that is given to the stakeholder. So number 5, project exclusions, states about what the project will not accomplish produce. So when we talk about project exclusions is when this states about the results the project won't produce. And number 6, constraints, restrictions that limit what can be achieved, how and when it can be achieved, and how much achieving it can cost. So constraints, it's all about restriction that place limits on what can be done, how, when, and how much it will cost to do it. So let's proceed to number 7, the last number, assumptions, states about how uncertain information will be addressed when conceiving, planning, and performing the project. So when we talk about assumptions, this states of describing how uncertain information will be handled during project concept planning and execution. So now let's continue. Once these things have been established, there is a need to be clarified the limitation or parameters of the project and clearly identify any aspects that are not to be included in specifying what will and will not be included. The project scope must make clear to the stakeholders, senior management, and team members involved what product or service will be delivered. So, my understanding about this is the following: the establishment of these factors, it is necessary to specify the project's constraints or specification and make it clear which elements are to be excluded. So the project scope must make it apparent to the interested stakeholders, senior management, and team members what product or service will be produced by defining what will and won't be included. A project scope should have a tangible objective for the organization that is undertaking the project. The purpose may be to create a better product for a company to sell, upgrade a company's internal software so that they can deliver better service to their customers, or to create a new service model for an organization. So for the organization launching the project's scope should have a clear goal. The goal can be to improve the products that a company sells, to update internal software to provide better customer service, or to develop a new service model for an organization. And that's all my report for today. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. I am Rosalinda Ike, and my topic is all about developing the work breakdown structures or WBS. So, once kita maghimo og project, dili man jud nato na mabuhat kung walay direction or kanang process kung unsaon paghimuan ang project. Kay pag once maghimo tag project, dili baya kailangan mapalpak kay masayang ra ang efforts o gasto. Wala baya ta sa fairy tale world na pag mapalpak ato project pwede ra magikon. Wala baya magic formula kay sa realidad naa jud step by step nga process para mabuo ang project. WBS is a project management tool that takes a step-by-step approach to complete large project with several moving pieces. WBS is a breakdown of a project into smaller components. Ang WBS ang pinaka-importanteng tool or pangunahing kasangkapan pag nagbuhat kag plano sa usa ka project. Naka-stage diri kung unsaon nimo pagbuhat ang usa ka project. WBS has its primary purpose is to plan the schedule for the project. Each task duration is planned in conjunction with its required predecessors and following tasks. Sa WBS naa diri ang mga tanan nimong kailangan buhaton. Pinapakita nito ang subdivision ng mga gawain. For example, you have a project that consists of 2 global parts or K tasks. This task will contain certain subtasks that must be followed strictly one by one. These subtasks can also have a list of activities in a smaller hierarchy. The work breakdown structure ought to consist of: number 1, product or service delivery tasks. The work necessary to productively describe Build and execute a product or service is completely detailed in work breakdown structure to guarantee that all project deliverables can be finished on time and according to condition. Sa kaning product or service delivery task is mao ni siya ang palihaan ng mga truck delivery nga nag-deliver sa mga product. Number 2, project management task. Tasks that address project management activities like starting the project, generating and tracking the project plan, supervising the project team, and preserving expectations are all shown in the work breakdown structure to allocate sufficient time and resources. Example ani kanang mga government project nga naka-detailed siya kung kanus sa mag-start o kanus sa mahuman. Number 3, training task. Team members and users obtain the right training at the exact time with no negative impact on the project schedule. And the last is project dependencies. The 4 types of project dependencies and their deliverables are integrated in the work breakdown structure to make sure that they are followed. The Table 2.0 Work Breakdown Structure or WBS labels. Level 1, highest. WBS term project description, the overall project under development. Level 2, WBS term deliverable description, the major project components. Level 3, WBS term deliverable description supporting deliverables. Level 4, work package description individual project activities. Pareha anang maghimo kag project proposal. Before ka makakuha ng project proposal, gikuan sa na ang mga buhatonon. Meron sa nimo buhaton is phase 1, pag tumas phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, tapos phase 4. Una sa nimo buhaton usa ka makabuhat og buo nga project proposal. Table 2.1 Sample project breakdown. Number 1, refine topic. So mangita mo og nga topic. Number 2, assign library research activities. Number 2 is mag-collect mo og data by learning and understanding data which has close relation with the problems from books, theories, notes, and documents. 3, develop preliminary outline for paper and presentation. The preliminary outline states topics that will support your project. Preliminary outline will not be particular, detailed. It includes basic categories of information. Number 4, assign team members to begin putting presentation together. So mag-assign na mo kung usa inyong buhaton. Number 5, begin producing drafts of paper. So, as a part of writing process, you will write multiple drafts of your paper. Each drafts improves upon the previous one. Number 6, proofread and correct drafts. So, diri magpa-check na mo sa inyuhang mga drafts. Number 7, refine class presentation. So, diri na part is mangita na mo og strategy or way kung unsaon ninyo pag-present. Number 8, turn in paper and make classroom presentation. So, mag-submit na mo, then mag-present.
Good day, ma'am. I am Berniflor M. Gongob, and my topic is also about work breakdown structure. A work breakdown structure is a tool that can be used for projects, programs, and even initiatives to understand the work that has to be done to successfully produce a deliverables. A work breakdown structure serves as your map through complicated projects. Your project scope may include several phases or smaller sub-projects, and even those sub-projects can be broken down into tasks, deliverables, and work packages. WBS can help you manage those items and gain clarity into the details needed to accomplish every aspect of your project scope. The WBS also provides numeric codes for each activity. The assigned code for each activity aids in allocating cost more accurately. track activities that are over or under budget, and maintain financial control of the development process. Please take a look for the example of WBS for an IT project. The tree structure view is the most well-liked layout for the work breakdown structure. It is very simple to view and understand view. At the top of the work breakdown structure is your final deliverable. Immediately beneath that is the next WBS level, which are the main project phases required to complete the project. The third and lowest level shows work packages. Each of those 5 project phases, the initiation, planning, execution, control, and closeout, also act as control accounts and branch of the main deliverable at the top. Once decided, they are broken down into a series of deliverables. For example, in the initiation phase, includes evaluation and recommendation and creating the project charter. In the planning phase, it is to identify all the analysis, task, and the associated risk, cost, time, and resources. In the execution phase, involves carrying out the details of your project charter in order to deliver your products or services to your clients or internal stakeholders. In the control phase, the execution of the project is being managed and its progress tracked to the plan established during project planning. And the closeout is the last stage where all deliverables are finalized and formally transferred and all documentation is signed off, approved, and achieved. That's all. Thank you.